One of the most common questions or pleas for help that I get from clients is, how do I get my dog to stop jumping on me or jumping on guests when they come in the house? So the first thing we want to look at is, why is the dog jumping? Is it because we have something in our hands? Is it because they're just super excited? Is it because they want attention from that person that they're jumping on? So that's the first thing that we need to figure out. And even though we might figure out what it is they want, there are similar things that we do for each case. So when we look at behavior, any kind of behavior, whether it's aggressive behavior, fearful behavior, just an adolescent type, overexcited dog type behavior like jumping, we want to figure out what it is they want so that we can teach them a behavior that is incompatible with the one that they're doing. In other words, if a dog is sitting, they're more than likely not going to jump. I also like to call it an alternate behavior. That's really my favorite way of expressing this, because I want them to have something else to do instead of what they're doing. And so that's what we teach. It's important to remember before we get started that training is not a one-size-fits-all. Just like with humans or any other animal, not all animals learn the same or at the same pace. So what's really important with this is consistency, 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 okay? All right, so what we want to do first is we're going to assume that the dog wants attention, okay? Storm, come over here and help me a second. Good girl. Sit. Good girl. All right, so when a dog is jumping up, they're super excited, and the way we're going to do this is going to vary just a little bit depending on, how excited your dog is. Are they able to accept attention as a reward? Are they food motivated? Those are some of the things that we're going to look at. So our dog wants attention and they're jumping up. They're super excited and they're jumping up on me. What do we want to do? So there's one thing that we can do, and we can teach them to sit. The one thing that we want to be really careful about is that dogs memorize things in patterns, just like we're memorizing a dance routine. So what we want to be super careful of is that the dog is not jumping. We cue them to sit and then they get a treat. And then that becomes one behavior: jump, sit, treat. So we want to be super careful about that. The other way, and I do like to start out with this way if I can, if it's not a super large dog, you're not getting hurt when they're jumping up on you, I will wait until they stop for 1 second and put their feet on the floor, and then I'm going to pop a treat on the floor, not in their mouth, on the floor. The more you can do this, the more they realize, hey, the reward comes from the floor, not up here on my person, okay? So let me demonstrate that for a second. Let me see if I can get Storm excited here. Storm, yay, hey, yay, yes. So I'm gonna mark and I'm gonna pop a treat down there. She happens to go into a sit. It's because I've trained her that way, and we've done it over and over and over again, so this is kind of her default. Hey, yay, good. But if your dog just puts 4 feet on the floor, that is perfectly acceptable. Please reward them for that. Hey, yay, yay, good girl. And see, she kind of hesitates to even jump on me now. She thinks I want her to do a trick. Come here, come here. Yes. So we're just kind of waiting it out. Now, is this practical in every situation? No. If you have a huge dog and they're jumping on you, it's going to be a whole nother thing altogether. So these are going to be for the majority of dogs, medium ones. We'll talk about the bigger dogs a little bit later. But in those cases, I would use some sort of management. So maybe have them behind a gate or something until you can come in. Now, another thing that you can do is you can do what I call the come and sit. So this is something that you're going to practice when you're not walking in the door. These are going to be, it's going to be an exercise that you're going to do in sessions throughout the day. So all we have to do with this, okay, call your dog to you. Storm, here, sit, yes. And you're going to walk around the house doing this. So I might come over here, Storm, here, sit. Sit. Yes. All right, so what we're doing is we're gradually increasing the excitement level, okay? So we're not just calling him to sit. At first you are. You're just going to call calmly, cue them to sit when they arrive to you, and then mark them with a yes, and then give them a treat. If you haven't seen my video on marker training, you can find that on my YouTube channel. And you can also probably find it somewhere in Reels here. So you're going to gradually increase the excitement level, and this is going to teach your dog some sort of impulse control. Plus, it's going to teach them what to do in these situations when they're coming up to someone and they're super excited to see them. Okay. Yes. Now I'm helping a little bit at first, and I should have put that on the floor. Yes, I put it in her mouth. I'm helping her a little bit at first by stopping, okay? So in other words, I'm not jumping up and down the entire time, okay? I stop when she gets to me. Okay. Storm! Hey! Yes, good girl. I did it again. And in this case, she's not jumping up on me. Put it in the mouth isn't so bad, but when you have a dog that's really, really excitable, what you're going to want to do is wait till they're 4 feet, go on the floor, and put that treat on the floor for them. Okay? Okay. Always require your dog to sit when they approach. The more people that do that, the better. You can also take a little bowl of treats, put it outside your door when you know guests are coming over. Have them take a few pieces, and then you can have them do the same thing with your dogs. You can have them wait till they put 4 feet on the floor and then pop a treat down there on the floor. If you don't have anywhere to put your dog and you know your dog's going to jump, you don't want them to repeat that behavior, you can put the treats out there, have them take a few pieces of treats, toss it away from them when they come in the door, and that'll keep the dogs busy till maybe they can get in and sit down somewhere. But what we want to do is two things. We want to keep the dog from performing this behavior, and we want to interrupt the behavior, because the more, just like anything else, I know you've heard me say this before in my other videos, the more behavior is practiced, the more difficult it is to break, okay? So we want to make sure that we can manage that behavior as well as teach them the appropriate behavior. So remember, lots of practice, lots of session practice when you're not actually coming in the door. That's super important. And remember that each dog learns at a different pace. Don't compare your dog to somebody else's dog. Don't compare your dog to another resident dog. Just not a fair comparison, even if they're brother and sister, whatever the case might be. You cannot compare, just like you wouldn't compare your children, or you shouldn't compare your children, let's say that. Be very, very consistent. That's all I can say. If you're walking in the door from work or from wherever and your dog's super excited, you have a armload of stuff and you just want your dog to stop, you're putting stuff down, your dog's jumping, and you're just like, hey, that is reinforcing the jumping. So just be very conscious of what you're doing with your hands, with your body. Another thing I want to mention is that when your dog jumps up on you, if you try to push them down, they can take it as play. So they're like, oh, they're playing, they're happy to see me, and they're, ready to play too. So you're pushing them down and they're jumping back up, and you're pushing them down and they're jumping back up. And that gets super frustrating, and they're not learning anything. So you want to make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do. If you have a dog, this includes a larger dog, that you just cannot handle at the door. Like you're getting scratched up. Some dogs tend to actually nip and grab, which is not aggression. It's just that they're so excited, they just cannot control themselves. This can happen in some breeds more than others just because of genetics. It doesn't mean that they're dangerous, but it doesn't also mean that it doesn't feel good. So you want to make sure that you're managing that. If you know that they're going to be excited when you come in, have your food ready, sprinkle it somewhere, or have your dog in a room. However, if they normally stay out in the house, that's perfectly fine when you're gone. But make sure that you have a plan of action. So maybe you need to bring 2 loads in from the car instead of trying to get it all at one time. Make sure you have a hand free so that you can, toss a treat, or, walk in the door, toss the treat on the floor before they even get a chance to jump up on you is a great way of handling that too. So just make sure you think out the process. Guests come over, you can put them behind a baby gate, wait for them to calm down, have your guests go over, give them a treat, give them a pet, whatever the case might be, or if they're calm enough, you can let them out to visit with everybody. Storm, come, sit, yes. So you're going to start out pretty calm, just having them come and sit. Come, sit, yes. And then when your dog starts offering the behavior, like without you having to cue it, okay. Come, yes. Then you can increase the intensity of what you're doing. So, for example, I'm going to get more excited this time. Okay. Oh, sits right here soon. Here. Storm, come here. Come here. Sit, yes. Good girl. Okay. Okay. Go. Storm. Yay. Yay. Yes. Good girl. Now you can cue them to sit if you need to, but what you're doing is you're just getting them super excited. So you're mimicking that excitement when you come in the door, when a guest comes in the door. So as they are successful, increase the excitement. If you need to bring it back down, if they aren't able to calm down, bring it back down just a little bit. Now, once your dog learns this, you want to kind of switch over to some petting instead of treats. You don't have to give treats every single time for this. Storm, come. Yes, good girl. Now, there are some dogs who get super excited when you pet them. I mean, your hand goes in their mouth. They just cannot control themselves. So in these situations, I always say to start out with food. So don't pet, just give them food. Yes, and the food. Then, as they get really good at this, Storm, come. You can give them a piece of food, yes, while you pet them. As soon as that food's gone, you stop petting. So we're conditioning them to getting a pet. Now, if your dog doesn't like being pet over the head, like I just did Storm, you can reach underneath the neck, the back, wherever your dog likes to be petted. Because we certainly want this to be a positive experience. And what you're doing is you've already conditioned your dog to your yes and your treat. You got your reinforcer there. We're conditioning your dog to another reinforcer. So that way the dog's getting exactly what they want, which is attention, and you can eliminate those treats. All right, if you have questions, let me know.